We're happy to have you with us. Shabbat Shalom. We're beginning here in the sanctuary in just a moment.
She's coming back and then she said to give this to her.
Do you see them? Yes. Start now. He's not there. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're going to begin in just a moment in the Siddur, the prayer book, on page 141. So if you don't have a Siddur, I encourage you to take one. And welcome once again to our Zoom community. We're glad to be with everyone this morning. Bear with me just a moment. More volume from me? Is that better? Maybe if you could take a look at the microphone setting. Better? I'll try to be clear and strong. Let's begin our morning prayers, page 141. To the last line, page 141. Va'ani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon Elohim berov chastecha aneni be'emet yishecha. Page 151 now. The morning blessings, a way for us to greet the day together, and our custom is to stand together as we're able. Beginning on page 151, and you can see the bolded phrase there in the Hebrew, which is a quote from the book of Leviticus saying, Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, that we begin our prayers by acknowledging our responsibility to care for one another and to treat each other as we wish to be treated. Let's begin there, page 151. לשם ייחוד קודשה בריחו שכינתי, הנני מוכן ומזומן לקבל עליי מצוות עשה של ואהבת לרעך כמוך ובזכות זה אפתח בי. Next page. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו חי עולמים, who removes sleep from my eyes and slumber from my eyelids. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who gives the bird of dawn discernment to tell day from night. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who stretches forth the earth upon the waters. 156 and 7. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who makes the blind to see. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who clothes the naked. We say Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who makes the captive free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who raises up the humble. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who makes firm a person's steps. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who acts for all my needs. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who girds Israel with strength. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who crowns Israel with splendor. 160 and 61. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who made me in your image. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who made me free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who made me of the people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu chai olamim, who gives strength to the weary. We take our seats and continue together, page 165. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorai. 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 Take a moment with me to breathe deeply and to be grateful for all the amazing architecture of our bodies that sustain us every minute, every hour, every day to be the people that we're trying to be. And now we turn ahead to page 177. It's a blessing to be together this morning in this sanctuary with our community members of all ages. I think this is the first Shabbat since March of 2020 that we've been in this room together with children, adults of all ages, and I'm not going to dare to touch the webcam that's in front of me lest I mess up the careful planning that's been put in place, but I'm sharing with the Zoom community that I'm looking at a room with many wonderful different generations. Page 177, we'll turn now to awaking our ability to give praise, to be full of praise. And we start with the acknowledgement that our praise comes from our words. So I'm going to begin the top of page 177 and ask everyone to respond to each of these verses. Baruch Hu u'Baruch Shemo. Baruch She'amar v'haya ha'olam. Baruch Hu. Baruch Oseh Bereshit. Baruch Shemo. Baruch Omer ve'oseh, Baruch Hu. Baruch Kozer u'mekayem, Baruch Shemo. Baruch Merachem al haaretz, Baruch Hu. Baruch Merachem al habriot, Baruch Shemo. Baruch Meshalem Sachar Tov Lireav, Baruch Hu. Baruch Ma'avir Afela u'mevi ora, Baruch Shemo. Baruch Chai La'ad ve'kayam lanetzach, Baruch Hu. Baruch Podeh u'matzil, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo. 181, find your way to the asterisk, page 181. Yachid ha'olamim, melech meshubach u'mufaradei ad shemo hagadol, Baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulal batishpachot. We'll turn to the final psalm, the one that many of us know well and some of us are learning, page 231, page 231 in the Siddur. Beginning with hallelujah and ending also with hallelujah. So an invitation to find the feeling of hallelujah inside of us. Excuse me. And I'm going to start with the last line, Kol haneshama tahalel. Hallelujah. I already messed up what I wanted to do. Kol haneshama tehalel, hallelujah. Kol haneshama tehalel, hallelujah. Now at the top. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Bekodsho. Hallelujah. Birkia uzo. Hallelujah. Bigurota. Let's now call forward Maya Grossman to share a poem with us based on Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt. Maya, come on up. And let me say, as Maya comes up, we're going to have different leaders coming to the bima. Our practice has been that when you're leading or speaking, you can take your mask off. When you're not leading or speaking, you put your mask back on. Maya, slowly and clearly so we can all hear you.
Without Ceasing by Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt. The wash of dawn across the sky reveals your signature. The cicadas drone your praise throughout the honey-slow afternoon. The angular windmills on the ridge recite your name with every turn. And I, who can barely focus on breath without drifting into story. What can I say to you, author of Wisteria and Sorrow? Who shaped these soft hills as glaciers' slow passage? You fashioned me as a gong. Your presence reverberates. Help me to open my lips that I may sing your praise.
Thank you, Maya. Beautifully done. Everyone join me in saying Yasher Koach. And as the poet, Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt says, let's find our way to open our mouths in praise. Join me now in our Siddur, page 247, and we'll stand together wherever we are here in our community, in our extended Zoom community, to call ourselves into our prayers and just feel what it feels like to stand up tall for a second. Feel all the joints of the body begin to unhinge and straighten out. Allow ourselves to feel the full height of our spine. Feel our feet pressing into the ground so that the spine can grow even taller, the heart come even taller, and the head balancing right over the heart. The jewel of the mind resting in the lotus of the heart. And that's the place from where we can start to bend our knee. So I will do first and ask you to respond to me, page 247. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Join me at the middle of 247. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Yotzer Or Uborech Choshech Oseh Shalom Uboreh et hakol. And we can take our seats, and as we do so, staying tall in our awareness, staying lifted up in our consciousness, and let's turn together now to page 253, also page 255, where you can see the Hebrew transliterated. The hint here, or the invitation here from our editor, our Siddur editor, is to invite participation. So either in the original Hebrew or in the transliteration, using these verses to help us find our way to give praise and thanks for the gift of creation, for this beautiful world that we've been gifted, and to know that there's some spark of God that's shot through everything we see. Page 253 or 55. Join, please. El Adon al kol ha'ma'asim baruch u'mvorach befi kol neshama godlo v'tuvo malei olam dat u'tbuna soberim oto המתגאל חיות הקודש ונדר בכבוד על המרכבה זכות ומישור לפני כיסו חסד ורחמים לפני כבודו the last line. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir, v'nizkachu lanu b'meira leoro, Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer hameorot.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos. Those last words that Rabbi Rachel just read for us, we're still on page 269. Yotzer, the creator, the artist, the former, ha-me'orot, of the lights. You hear the word or in the middle, and it's not like either or in English. Or in Hebrew is light. God is creator of the great lights. And that sentence, that God is the creator of the great lights, anchors the entire nature prayer. Anyone want to guess why on this third weekend of December, I'm underlining the great lights? Any kid know what's going on with the great lights this week? The solstice, which means? It means the absolute least light that we in the Northern Hemisphere get all year. And you know what that means? That even though we've got a long winter coming, and even though there's this COVID happening, this new wave, that it's going to start getting more light already next week. It starts really slow, like a few extra seconds of light every day, and then it's minutes. And next thing you know, the sun's going to be up pretty late, even when it's still cold in February and March. We are part of a cycle. So I just want to underline that on this solstice weekend, to celebrate the great lights, to tune into the cycles, to recognize that for every wave of 6 months of less light, there's going to be 6 months of more, and vice versa. We are part of something big, and we breathe into it. We take our place. Want to make sure everyone can hear, right? I think the table banging for Eladon kind of like knocked the microphones better, right? That was cool. And can folks on Zoom hear well? Looking at you, excellent. I see thumbs up. We are thrilled to be in community together. Page 275. The kids who were with me in Asefah last week, you may remember, we looked at the architecture of the whole service. And we are now in the section called the Shema and its blessings. 2 before the Shema and 1 after, and then the Amidah. So this one is saying thank you for Torah. Thank you for bringing light to our eyes, not just from the sun, but also from the tradition. Page 275, try to follow along. Fun, well-known melody. And this is going to lead us into the Shema. So I need to line up. We have Asefah, some kids from grades 1 through 5, or 1 and 2. Yeah, for Shema. So anyone who is a Shema volunteer, come on up. And I will lead the intro. And then you will take over. ו-275 הערנינו בתורתך ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך ויחד לבבינו לאהבה וליראה את שמך ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם נגיד לה ונשמחה בישועתך. Gathering the corners of the tzitzit if you have them. והביאנו לשלום מארבע כנפות הארץ, ותוליכנו כממיעוט לארצנו, כי אל פועל ישועות אתה. וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול, סלע באמת. להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. 277. Haftarah et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha v'dibartam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'eretz u'shoftecha u'tumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'einecha u'chtaftam al mezuzot beitecha A moment to continue with the next pages through 285, if you are continuing the Shema on your own. For an out loud option, the bottom of page 284. Because traditionally we're still holding the corners of the tzitzit. And we're going to kiss them for the last paragraph of the Shema. Rabbi David Arthur Teutsch on the bottom, DAT, on the bottom of 284, reminds us that these talitot have four corners, just like the four corners of the world. And the divine presence, the Shekhinah, God, spans the entire area from one corner all the way to the other. And so too do the inescapable moral obligations, meaning the work we have to do to be good people, which extend throughout our lives, no matter where we are. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Amen.
In just a moment, we're going to invite forward Eliana Hurwitz and Sarah Sherlander to lead us in the Freedom Song and into the Amidah. And I just want to pause with you for a moment and ask you to notice something with me. Could you all turn your prayer books to page 295 for a moment? Page 295, which is the opening of the Amidah. I want to share with you something I learned from our good friend Shlomo Cohen, who's a longtime member of our community and who's been with us, especially during the pandemic, Shlomo and his wife Doris. Shlomo shared this with me a number of years ago. So first, to back up, you notice people of all ages in our community. In our Amidah, we mention the names of our ancestors. And we mention the names not just of the masculine ancestors. Who are the men here? Who are the male ancestors? Call them out. Go ahead, Isaac.
Abraham, Isaac, Joseph, Jacob.
Well, it's great that you mentioned Joseph. So for people on Zoom, Isaac just correctly said Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. He also mentioned Joseph, and many of us wonder why Joseph isn't included here, since for many of us, Joseph is the grand finale of that ancestral line, but he's actually not listed here, and that would be a great drash, Isaac Beal, for you to give one day. Now, when I was a kid growing up, only the men were listed in the Siddur, and I learned the Amidah that way. We only prayed by invoking the male ancestors. But sometime between the time that I was a kid and when I got to be more of a grown-up, we had the gift of adding in the names of the female ancestors. So you can see them listed on the page here: Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, 4 female ancestors. And this is where the teaching from our good friend Shlomo comes in. Shlomo was telling me that, like me, he sometimes has trouble sleeping through the night. And one night he was lying awake thinking about this. How do you spell the word Yisrael? If you think of how to spell it, think of the letters of the word Yisrael. Yud, Sin, Resh, Aleph, Lamed. So if you can picture those letters. If you only have the male ancestors, you can only spell part of that name. You have Abraham, you have the Aleph, and you have 2 Yuds for Yitzchak and Yaakov, but you don't have the Sin, the Resh, or the Lamed. But notice that if you add the women in, suddenly you have the missing letters, and you can spell the word Yisrael by including all genders of our ancestral line, and feeling that as we move forward in our desire to be a whole people, to be a complete people, we want to have all the important voices in the mix with us. So I'm so grateful that I can stand here with you now and say all 7 of those names, and maybe in Isaac's version, Isaac Beal's version, it would include 8 names. We're going to turn now to invite Sarah and Eliana forward. We'll turn back to page 291.
And the very last word of this last blessing around the Shema before the Amidah is Yisrael. Blessed are you, Ga'al Yisrael, who redeems Israel. And the very next thing after we say that is going into hearing the names, where we need the women and the men both to make Israel. 291. Freedom leading to the Amidah.
Micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha, ba'elim Adonai. Micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha, micha mocha, et HaKodesh. Nora Tilo, Osefele, Nora Tilo, Osefele. Shira, Shira, Shira Hadasha, Shira, Shira, Shira Hadasha, Shira, Shira, Shira Hadasha, Shichu Le'uli. Neshimcha Asvataya, Neshimcha Asvataya, Neshimcha Asvataya, Neshimcha
Adonai Imloch Leolam Vaed. Sur Page 295. Page 303. Nekadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shnei marom, Hakatuv al yad nidyecha, V'kara zeh el zeh, Ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Az b'kol ra'ash gadol, adir v'chazak mashmi'im kol, mitnasim liumat srafim, liumatam baruch yomeru, baruch kevod Adonai nimchol. Mimkom hamakinu tofia, v'timloch aleinu, ki mechakim anachnu lach. Matai, matai, timloch b'tzion, matai. תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, ולנצח נצחים. ועינינו תראנה, תראנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך. ועינינו תראנה, תראנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. Hallelujah. Dor vador, dor vador, dor vador, dor vador, dor vador, nagid galecha. Dor vador, dor vador, dor vador, dor vador, dor vador, nagid galecha. ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש. ושיבחך אלוהינו ויהינו לא ימוש, לא ימוש לעולם ועד. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גדלך. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גדלך. כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה, גדול וקדוש אתה. כי המלך גדול וקדוש אתה, גדול וקדוש אתה. ברוך אתה אדוני הקדוש. Amen. We continue on our own from 306 through 323 with our own silent prayers. As you continue your Amidah we wrap every Amidah up with something about peace. And there's a modern peace song, which is really a prayer, that peace should yet come upon us, and not just on us, but on everyone, on all of them. And we say it in both Hebrew and in Arabic. And Isaac Beale will lead us.
Ojabo shalom aleinu, Ojabo shalom aleinu, Ojabo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Ojabo shalom aleinu, Ojabo shalom aleinu, Ojabo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, salam. Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam, salam. Ojabo shalom aleinu, Ojabo shalom aleinu, Ojabo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam. Ojabo shalom aleinu, Ojabo shalom aleinu, Ojabo shalom aleinu, ve'al kulam.
That is the same Isaac Beale who rocked this bima 14 days ago and is back. Yashakov. When the Amidah ends, we're into the Torah service. This is the very last Torah service of the book of Genesis. And we are about to fast forward in history from this morning to this afternoon and start telling the Passover story, even though it's only December. But to wrap up Bereshit, Genesis, we have a bunch of teams organized by the incomparable Pam Summers.
Shabbat Shalom. I now have the honor of calling up Jonah Bramble and Aaron Amdur-Cass. They will be leading the Torah service, and they will also serve as potkim, the ark openers. So please, gentlemen. We are on page 383 in your notes. Malchutecha malchut olamim umemshaltecha bechol dor vador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imlo le'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo hashalom. Haftarah leitiva birtzon ha'etzion. Tifnei chomot Yerushalayim. Tifnei chomot Yerushalayim. Hivecha levad ma'talalu, melech Elram v'nisa Adonai. Page 393.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Kadosh Shemo.
Lecha Adonai Hageduna v'Hagevura v'Hatiferet v'Hanetzach v'Hahod Ki hu b'shamayim u'ba'aretz Ki hu b'shamayim u'ba'aretz Lecha Adonai Hamamlacha ve'hamid na'aseh lechol lerosh. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu ve'hishtachavu lehadom raglav kadoshu. Romamu Adonai Eloheinu, Romamu Adonai Eloheinu, ve'ishtachavu lehakadsho, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu. Yisrael ve'oraita kujabrihu chadu. Yisrael ve'oraita kujabrihu chadu. Torah ora, Torah ora, hallelujah. Torah ora, Torah ora, hallelujah, hallelujah. Torah ora, Torah ora, hallelujah. Torah ora, Torah ora, hallelujah.
So this is the very last parsha of the book of Genesis, Bereshit. And I now have the privilege of calling up Rosie Protas to give us a little bit of context and to ask some questions of all of you. So I'm hoping that you will be raising your hands. We may not recognize you with your masks on, but we will definitely point to you.
Shabbat Shalom. At the beginning of this parsha, Joseph's dad is dying. Jacob granted a blessing for his his dad Joseph grants a blessing for his 2 grandsons. His inability to see, however, does not stop him from giving the preferential blessing to the younger brother. Why do you think he did that?
Give us a second to decide that question.
Yes.
Say the question one more time.
So, why do you think that Jacob gave the preferential blessing to the younger brother? Isaac?
I'm going to ask everybody who wants to respond to stand up and to speak in a very loud voice. Because not only this kahal, this crowd, but also there's people on Zoom who really want to hear the answers.
Because the youngest child was the one that Rachel born.
Oh, wait, hold on. What did you say? Didn't quite hear that.
The youngest child was the one that Rachel born.
So did you guys hear that or? Okay, the youngest child was the one who Rachel bore.
Yes, I think that Isaac might be referring to Benjamin, who is the youngest son of Rachel and Jacob. The other son is Joseph. Yes, okay.
Joseph was also Rachel's child.
Yes. And I don't know if you're implying this, but preferential treatment is sort of a strain running through this family. Okay.
Did I give the answer?
There's no, right? You can say what you think. but
So,
there's no right.
When I was reading this, when I saw that Jacob gave the preferential blessing to the younger brother, I read it as, so Joseph swapped the 2, and Joseph told Jacob, no, that's the younger one. And Jacob basically said, no, I know what I'm doing, and I know who I'm giving the preferential blessing to. And I read it as the younger brother had more opportunity and was set to do better things than the older brother. And so Jacob gave the preferential blessing to the younger brother, even though it's generally the older brother would get it, but he gave it to the younger brother because he saw more potential in him.
Okay, Rosie, I think, Sean, did you want to say something?
Favoritism.
Okay, in a very loud voice, please.
Favoritism, yeah, yes, yeah, definitely favoritism is something you'll definitely see. And I think I don't know if he favored the younger brother, but he definitely saw a better future for the younger brother. And so he chose him for the preferential blessing. After Jacob gave the blessings to his grandsons, he gave his predictions to his sons. Some were positive, while some were pretty negative. What do you think these predictions say about Jacob's feelings towards his sons and how he thinks his sons will end up being?
A provocative question.
Should I tell them what he actually, the predictions?
Well, you might want to give a few examples.
Okay.
For those who are not familiar with every single blessing curse or a piece of advice.
So for some, like his favorite, I don't have it right in front of me, but for his favorite sons, he gave
positive predictions, and he saw positive things in their future. He saw them as their brothers bowing down to them and them being kind of the leader. And for the ones that he clearly didn't like, he basically told them they were troublemakers, that they were up to no good, that they weren't ever going to do anything good. And so basically, favoritism definitely was shown in that. So what do you think these predictions say about his feelings towards his sons and kind of how it kind of works in his mind about his sons? Oh, I'm sorry, what's your name?
I was going to say that to me, we aspire to love our children, not the same, but as much as they all need. And he makes no bones about the fact that he is going to give what he wants to where he wants to.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's more a reflection on his character, that he chooses to handle the end of his life in that way, which is, I feel, very problematic.
Yeah, so if you didn't hear Abigail Foss, she said that Jacob was spending his last moments basically like, I think she said it's more of a reflection on him rather than it is on, I mean, his children, maybe. And basically, when I was reading this, I saw that for the sons he clearly did not really like, he kind of said that, well, he basically said, I don't see positive in the future, and that you're going to get in a lot of trouble, kind of like me. So that's, and so for the ones he clearly did like, I think it's more of a reflection, like you said, Abigail Foss, more of a reflection on Jacob and how he saw his sons than more of his sons, because everyone makes mistakes. I'm sure you guys have probably made mistakes in your life, well, hopefully. And so I think it's more of a reflection on him. Yes?
So I would say that in Jacob's defense, he doesn't have a lot of great role models on this. And he didn't have access to a lot of the parenting resources that a lot of us have.
Yeah.
And like the knowledge that maybe that's not the best way to be as a parent. And if you look at the cycle of the patriarchs, this is a recurring theme of sort of picking a child, like that one other than a different one. And so maybe, we should give him a break.
Yeah, well, I agree. Yeah, he did not have those parental figures in his life to really lead him. He doesn't really know what's right or wrong when it comes to favoritism. I think nowadays we see it as more, we love our children equally and that there is no favorite. Some are better than things at others, and we love our children equally. I think it's, since Jacob, since he did not grow up with that role model and that in his life, I think we should give him a little bit of a break, since he doesn't really know how to be he doesn't know what's right or wrong about it, so he doesn't know that he's doing it wrong. Yes?
I'm just reflecting on, he also stole the blessing from his own brother. So, yes, maybe there's not the role of you said his father. His mother helped him.
It's
The
true.
point is, this was put in there. It was put in there early, but it also was sort of the key to his own success, right? I think we've got a merger here of these two.
Well, I think it's also, his mother did help him get the preference, or his mother did help him. So his mother was kind of his parental figure in his life. And so his role models weren't exactly positive, which I think also kind of reflects how he came out and what kind of a father he is. yeah, Isaac, Beal?
I'm not sure if this is important, but he also was the youngest child who got the blessing.
Mhm.
It's very important.
Yes, so Jacob did get the younger, wait, no, not the younger blessing. The,
Esau and Jacob, he got the birthright.
he got the birthright, and if that story is, he basically tricked his brother and he got the birthright, even though he was the younger sibling. If you don't see, there's pretty much a pattern in here of just not at all what's supposed to happen, and that happens. So that's kind of, yes, I think in his life, in Jacob's life, he didn't have really any example in his life of what not favoritism was, or not trickery, or swapping brothers, or tricking your father and things like that. I think nowadays we hopefully have better examples, but I think then he did not have a better example, which I think led him to be this, to reflect who he is. So after, or later, after Jacob dies and Joseph comes to power, or is now the head of the family because he was his father's favorite. And long before these events, Joseph was, if you don't remember, thrown in a pit by his other 11 brothers. And what was your reaction to Joseph's not really seeking revenge among his brothers? I mean, at least for me, if my brothers had thrown me in a pit, I would be pretty mad at them. When I think about it, I probably would have sought revenge, but what was your reaction to Joseph not seeking revenge among his other 11 brothers who threw him in a pit? And yeah, yes, Nathan?
I was actually pretty surprised when I realized he didn't get revenge because the environment that was hiding the first but I guess
Yeah, I think. Oh, yes. So Nathan said that what did you say? I remember.
Nathan, just speak up really loud. Thank you.
well, if I were Joseph, I would probably get revenge on that.
Mhm.
But after a while, I would eventually mistake because that's what the only thing that I would do.
So you were surprised by it, right?
Yeah, I was surprised.
So if you were in Jacob's position or Joseph's position, you would probably seek revenge. And I agree, I would probably also seek revenge among my brothers. No. So basically, I think it does also kind of reflect why he might have been a favorite. I mean, he didn't seek at all revenge. It's hard to process for me. I generally, when my brothers do something, I seek revenge among my brothers, whether that be fake cockroaches in their bed or something like that. But Joseph didn't do that at all. He was trying to make peace with them. He didn't seek revenge. So does anyone else have any other reactions? Oh, right, yes. Yeah, so what she said was that he had gone through Egypt, and his way of getting revenge on them was being there and being like, oh, I did a lot better stuff than you, so that's my revenge. So not the same kind of revenge as some of us would maybe take. Yeah, I definitely, oh, yes.
I think for Joseph, it was very important that his brothers showed remorse. They felt bad, and they conveyed that they felt bad. That Joseph sort of tested his brothers, and I think that was really meaningful to Joseph. He felt soften the anger a little bit.
Yeah, so
Also, then he was lonely, super lonely, and the opportunity to be with his siblings, his father. I just think it showed how much he loved his family.
yeah, I think it definitely does reflect how I think he cares about his brothers. And
all those lines, I want to echo what Abigail Foss said.
oh yeah.
And what a great example of a parent. Great group of children they have. And just wanted to say that for the record.
Well, I know that I know that the youngest in Abigail Foss's family is definitely a pretty spot on child. Not sure about the others, but that's they didn't care to be here to, fight for themselves. So, guess I'll probably find a cockroach in my bed tonight. Anyway, so yeah. Yeah, I think it shows that he cares about his family, and that I think it is true that he sought revenge in a different way than I would have expected. So that part surprised me. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Rosie. And in case you haven't figured it out, Abigail Foss is her mom. Okay, so now we are going to read the ending of this amazing parsha. And so I would like to call up our junior Gabbai, Noam Richmond, to help me call everybody up, and also our first reader, Henry Dirks. Yazor v'yagen yoshel ochol chachosim bo v'nomar. Akol havugodel Eloheinu tnu chavod laTorah.
Yamdu Pesach Bet Hana Yaakov Sander Ben Hudas Herschel Shoshana Bat Reza Leah Bevel.
So that is 3 people. That is Peter Richmond and Steve Horwitz and Rona, if you are all present. Rana Popkin.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Karvanu La'avodato V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten Torah.
And our rabbi is going to tell us what pages we're on.
We are reading from Genesis chapter 49, beginning on verse 27, which can be found on page 315 of the New Plow and 310 of the Old.
Binyamin ze vitrach baboker yochalat vela'erev yichalech shalal kol ele shivtei Israel shanayim asar וזאת אשר דיבר להם אביהם ויברך אותם איש אשר ברכתו ברך אותם ויצב אותם ויאמר עליהם אני נאסף אל עמי, קיבלו אותי אל אבותיי, אל המרה אשר בשדה עברון חכיתי, במרה אשר בשדה המפלה, אשר על פני ממרא בארץ כנען, אשר קנה אברהם את השדה מאת עברון חכיתי לאחוזת קבר.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Okay. So now I would like to ask our second Torah reader, Nathan Willits, to come up, please. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so
Cover
sorry.
the Torah for a moment. And we'll ask Steve and Rana and Peter just to step forward for 1 second. Nathan will be ready for you in just a moment. No, not yet. Want to just acknowledge the honorees that are here before us, and we've called up for the first Aliyah, Steve and Rana and Peter, to acknowledge and thank them for their leadership in guiding our community's commitment to educate our young people and giving extremely important reality checks and feedback to those of us who are involved in the office during the week, and to help us to see through your eyes as parents, apropos of our Devar Torah this morning, what the most important needs of our kids are. So yishar koach to all of you, and thank you to all of you. And now we'll ask you, and I think we need a special, yeah, perfect, thank you.
Amud, Rachel, Bat, David, Shana.
Let's slide this over.
We are now on verse 31, page 313 of the new plow, 314 of the old.
And slide this scroll this way so Nathan doesn't have to do each other that. There. Just make him show her where you're reading so she can touch.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamborach. Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher karvanu le'avodato v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Sorry. Shama kavu et Avraham ve'et Sarah ishto. Shama kavu et Isaac ve'et Rivka ishto. Ve'shama kavarti et Leah mifnei hasadeh ve'hamara asher bo ve'et ve'rehet ve'chol Yaakov v'Yitzchak Adonai v'asaf raglav eta v'yad v'yavo v'yasef elamas.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Yasher Koach, Nathan. And once again, we'll close the scroll for just a moment so that we can. Just want to acknowledge Razi Epsteiner. I had Rosie on the brain because Rosie was just up here. Razi, if you would just step forward. What a joy it's been to help, bring you into our community and to benefit from all the wonderful skill and leadership you've brought to us. And I think this was your first reconstruction of Seliyah. And look how you just ripped that thing out, no problem. So kol hakavod to you, and we look forward to a journey of many years with you. Kol hakavod. Now, Miriam,
I would like to call up Miriam Clapper now, and we are going to take some time to think about all of those in our lives who need healing, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual. If you're on the Zoom, please put the name or names of those individuals in the chat. And here, if you want to just silently say the name or stand up or whatever you feel comfortable doing.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Renewal of Spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So now I would like to invite up our third reader, Aidan Giral, and Kita Zion. All of you, please get ready to come up upon the bima.
Yamod Kita Zayin.
So if you are in Kita Zion, please come up. I guess I was not clear.
There's Aidan. There.
Oh, yes, wait. We are now on chapter 50, verse 23, which can be found on page 323 of the New Plow and page 359 of the old one.
Before the Aliyah, it's Chazak.
Baruch Adonai Haborach, Baruch Adonai Haborach Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Adonai Haborach Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kivanu la'avodato, v'natan lanu et torato, Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Amen. Vayar Yosef le'Ephraim b'nei Shelishim Gam b'nei Machir ben Menashe Yuldu al Birkai Yosef Vayomer Yosef el Achav Anochi met Velohim Pakod Yifkod etchem V'ha'ela etchem min haaretz hazot al haaretz asher nishba le'Avraham le'Yitzchak ule'Yaakov vayashba Yosef et bnei Yisrael le'emor pakod yifkod Elohim etchem v'ha'alitem et atzmotai mizeh vayamat Yosef ben me'ah va'eser shanim vayachantu oto vayisem ba'aron b'Mitzrayim.
Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek.
Chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Don't go anywhere. Just want everyone here, the Kita Zayin, before we break, close this up. You see the giant space, right? And we only 5 times a year get to say Chazak, Chazak, v'nitchazek. This is the beginning of Exodus, right there at the bottom of that space where we left off. And that's where we're going to unroll the Torah on your laps to see all the way to our redemption right after services. So it is perfect timing that we ended where we did, and we now pick up the story of our people and the core story of going from slavery to freedom, starting this afternoon in synagogues all around the country and the world. And this is the story that you get to literally hold. And we are excited for you to make up for what usually happens in 6th grade, but thanks to the pandemic, couldn't. We are thrilled that you are here today. So lots to look forward to.
Wow. So now we'll give the whole congregation a chance to see that opening.
That's it.
We can take a seat for just a moment.
So as Cantor Rachel, that's what I called her long before she became a rabbi. As Rabbi Rachel said at the opening of this service, I think the last time that so many generations were in this room was probably March of 2020. And I am very moved because I think most of you know that I love to see multi-generational davening, interaction, analysis, everything kvelling. And I also love to see young people embrace all that Judaism has to offer. And so what I wanted to do today is to offer you a special priestly blessing, and I want it to be for every child and every family member of those children. And I'm going to sing a version of the priestly blessing that was composed by my dear friend Hazan Michael Mandel, who graced this bima on the high holidays. And so I will ask you all to rise, all of you young people and your families. May God bless you and keep you. May God make God's face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May God lift up God's countenance upon you and give you peace and give you peace.
Ken Yehi Ratzon.
And now I will ask our Gabbai.
Yamdu, Hagba, Galila, Martha, and Sean Levinson.
Look for the big paragraph break.
Bezot HaTorah asher zam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yatem Moshe Torah, 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 Torah tziva lanu Moshe Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe.
We can be seated. We're calling forward now Benji Lighting Eisman to chant from the Haftarah. Yes, this is what I need. Okay, so Benji, just before you begin, I just want to say, come stand here with me. I want to say a quick word about this prophetic text, or this text from the book of prophets. It'll be a selection from the first book of Kings, chapter 2, and you can find the text. You're beginning with verse 1, yes? Here. So you can find the text in your Chumash on page 359 in the older Chumash, or page 323 if you're looking in the newer one. And we always want to ask, what's the connection between this Haftarah and the Torah reading? And as I always like to say, sometimes it's really obvious and sometimes we have to dig a little bit more. Here, our tradition is asking us to notice the parallel, a little bit of a parallel story with the death of King David, as we'll see here in the text, paralleling the final words and final moments of the lives of both Jacob and Joseph. And as we saw in the Torah text that we just read, the careful description of the burial of those ancestors. So we'll see now also in this text relating to the life and death of King David. Benji, you'll begin with the bracha on page 409 in the Siddur. Do you want this lifted up? If you like. Yes.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim ברצה ודבריהם הנאמרים באמת, ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בתורה ובמושך טוב ובנביאי האמת והצדק. ויקרבו ימי דוד למות ויצב את שלמה בנו לאמור אנוכי הולך בדרך כל הארץ וחזקת והיית לאיש ושמרת את משמרת אדוני אלוהיך ללכת בדרכיו לשמור חוקותיו מצוותיו ומשפטיו ואדבותיו ככתוב בדורת משה למען תשכיל את כל אשר תעשה ואת כל אשר תפנה שם. ושלמה ישב על כיסא דוד אביו ותיכון מלכותו מאוד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם צור כל העולמים צדיק בכל הדורות הנאמן האומר ועושה המדבר ומקיים שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. נאמן אתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ונאמנים דבריך ודבר אחד מדבריך וכור לא ישוב ריקם כי המלך נאמן ורחמן אתה. ברוך אתה אדוני נאמן בכל דבריו. רחם ציון כי בית חיינו ולעמך ישראל תושיע במהרה בימינו. ברוך אתה אדוני ושמח ציון בבניה. שמחנו אדוני אלוהינו ויעבור אבי עבדך במהרה יבוא ויגל ליבנו והשיב לבבות על בנים ולבנים על אבותם וביתך בתפארה יקרב לכל העמים. ברוך אתה אדוני הביא שלום לעד. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודיעים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני קדש השבת.
And now I would like to invite up Toby Engel to do a reading from the great poet Tagore about country and peace.
Back in our Siddur, page 419.
What do I desire for my country? How do I vision the land that I love? Let it be a land where knowledge is free, where the mind is without fear, and men and women hold their heads high, where the words come out from the depths of truth, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where tireless striving stretches in its arms toward perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way in the dreamy desert of dead habit, where the mind is led forward into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom. Let my country awake.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
It is now time to return the Torah to the Ark, and I am going to invite up Isaac Beal, Nathan Willits, and anyone else who would like to join in the Camp Havaya version of Eitz Chaim He.
Number?
Oh, page 441.
Yeah.
And
We rise as we prepare to return the Torah to the ark.
Shalom, 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 shalom. Shalom, 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 shalom.
You may be seated. So beautifully done, and so wonderful to have returnees, Nathan fresh from his becoming B mitzvah, and Isaac from his, Benji not so long ago, and many who are demonstrating just how ready they are in this season ahead. Just looking at you, Rosie. So much to be grateful for and so much to look forward to. And once again, tremendous appreciation to Pam Summers, the organizer of Team Torah Takeover. Home stretch. Okay. So to state the obvious, we don't know what the future holds. We never do, and we especially don't watching the news this week. So stay tuned for an announcement about next week, which will be fairly easy to pivot to Zoom, if that makes sense. And the week after, because that next week is actually Christmas Shabbat, and the week after is New Year's Shabbat. We're going to actually go back to the old start time of 10, because many of you will be up late the night before. And that one was already planned on Zoom. And starting on January 8th, stay tuned. Breathe into the uncertainty with your mask. Not too deep. But when you get into a place where breath is 100% safe, breathe deep again and again. Near the end of our service, we tune into the memory of those who are no longer with us. And we are still in the period of Shloshim, remembering Amy Dick's beloved sister, Judith Kashtan. We also can announce, right, Lisa? Yeah, I think. So we just found out overnight that Lisa Landsman's mother in North Carolina passed away. This was expected, and stay tuned for details. Also just want to acknowledge in the larger world, one of the intellectual, political, and literary heroes for so many of us, only 69 years old. We remember bell hooks on this particular Shabbat. We remember as well those whose yahrzeits fall from this Shabbat through the end of the week. Anne Laurie Wong's grandmother, Rhoda Reiser, Mimi Jaffe's father, Mayor Kranz, Shelley Harris's mother, Arlene, John Grossman's father, Larry, Marcia Nuskart's mother, Fanny, Mark Pastor's mother, Doris, Joan Weiss's husband, friend to so many in this community, teacher to so many, Paul Ephros, Michelle Mellinger's great aunt, Ruth Hanverger, Larry Miller's sister, Elizabeth, Susan Gaeta's brother, George Feltman, Sharon Bray's grandfather, David Tannenbaum, Joel Bremen's father, Herman, Gail Ross's mother, Arlene, Cheryl Hurwitz's father on the second yard site, Charles Hurwitz, Helen Lenneman's sister, Leah, Erwin Gross's father, Charles, Lori Persh's sister, Bonnie Bloom. And on this day, the 21st of December coming up, is the art site for our beloved and very, very much missed Anne Mizanson. Steve Hellman's father, Samuel, Harold Jaffe's sister, Judith Rosner, Lance Clausen's father, Clayton, Gila Franklin Siegel's remarkable mother, Dorothy, Brian Frosch's mother, Judith, Molly Winston's father, Morton, Sherry Book's grandmother, Fanny Klein, Ted Kleinman's grandmother, Yetta Kopp, Anne Rosenthal's mother, Ruth, Linda Canefield's father, Martin, Michelle Mellinger's grandmother, Esther Hopen, Deborah Friedlevin's grandmother, Belle Zuch, and Michael Samuel's father, Arthur. Page 451. If there are names that we didn't mention for anyone on Zoom, feel free to add them to the chat as well. And those who are in mourning or whose custom it is, please rise and join. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ba'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute, b'chaye echon u'vyom echon u'vchaye techol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehesh shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam l'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitfa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehesh shlama rabba min shemai v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru, amen. Amen. Zichronam livracha, all of their memories, for a blessing. We turn back to page 445 to honor all that is good, to remind ourselves it's up to us to offer praise. And somewhere in there is mixed in the idea, letaken olam b'malchut Shaddai. We praise the Creator and we affirm the work of perfecting, repairing the creation. We rise in body or in spirit. 445. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula le'yotzer breshit, shenatam lanu Torah temet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'lodim lifnei malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. .449 near the end. Kakatuv b'Toratecha, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Le'ne'emar, le'haya Adonai, le'melech al kol ha'aretz. Bayom ahu, bayom
We can all be seated. Want to say Yasher Koach to all of our leaders this morning. And let's hear you often and again and again. And to ask now for Vanessa Eisman to come forward, our board member, to share greetings and announcements as we come to the close of our morning.
Shabbat Shalom, welcome everyone, and those on Zoom as well, Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to all of our leaders and to all the adults, especially Karen, who helped make this possible, and to Razi as well, who are doing a remarkable job in teaching our children. Please check Social Solidarity for all the upcoming programs. Oh, thank you also to the Zoom Gabayim. We appreciate you very much. So always programs coming up. So please do check Social Solidarity for the latest news. Have a good week.
So before Omicron goes where it's going, we can hang out outside on a beautiful, still 50-something degree day for BYO Oneg and a little bit of togetherness. We're going to ask everyone who is not connected to Kita Zion to actually kind of leave expeditiously and start schmoozing out on the social hall patio, because Kita Zion is going to unscroll a Torah across the laps, making up for it. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, live, the last confirmed thing here of 2021, the first of 3 over the course of the year Shemitah workshops. We have 7 presenters to highlight the ways in which this biblical teaching is incredibly resonant and relevant. And the focus is on both on the general, on the Mishnah garden, and the idea of actually working the land in different and creative ways, and then on personal resilience with multiple presenters, Rabbi Rachel included. We're so grateful to everyone. 9:30 and again at 11:30 will be on Zoom. The link is in Social Solidarity. Talk it up among your friends. And if you would like to join us in person, we look forward to seeing you here as well. So much to look forward to.
And now I would like to invite Razi and every young person who would like to join in Bishamru and the Kiddush to come up on the bima. I encourage as many people as possible. We want a lot of ruach here. Vishamru b'nei Israel,
Elohim, Asa Adonai, Asa Adonai, et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, v'shamru ve- Zoter, ve'dorot v'ritorah. Vayom hashlishi, Shabbat vayinachas, Shabbat vayinachas, Shabbat vayinachas, v'shamru ve'yisrael. Zoter kasha.
Every Haftarah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu
melech haolam, hamotzi le'elim haaretz. Amen.
Happy solstice.
Yes, no mercy. Go. No, what? Once ants crawling around in it, we opened it up and there were ants just everywhere. It was so hard.
Yes. Yes. In 2 minutes.
Shabbat shalom. And I think there's time now for some breakout visiting with great thanks to Shelley.
Can you all hear me? I'm trying to figure out how many people to create rooms for.
I'm here.
Okay, let me see. Hold on. Excuse me. I just need to go to gallery view to see how many y'all are. Okay, so that is 20. So I'm going to create 4. And here you go.
Should I start the video? I gotta start the video too if we're gonna be there.
Oh, we're not on video yet?
No, we are.